Coming in studio alongside your host, Chancellor Brewington. Chancellor, how was your weekend?
Oh, my weekend was, to say the least, amazing. Great downtime, I would say, but really I just do the same thing every day. I don't really care if it's week or weekday, but it was fantastic. I got a lot of stuff done, super productive, and it was got some good rest, I would say. But I mean, I wake up at the same time every morning, so I guess the rest is more of a mental thing. But I'm prepared and ready for the weekend, ready to talk some good sports. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that happened over the weekend. Of course, Ohio State and Texas game, which I think we both predicted. Did we both get that right, Bach?
Yeah, I believe so.
Hey, I mean, there we go. 2 for 2. And we also talked about the possibility of Quinn Ewers, going into the draft. And I think you can kind of imply after that game that he'll be coming back. We'll get into that, and I want to really break down this Nebraska roster, and I want to look at some places where maybe we could do better. Of course, in the recruitment game, but like if everyone on this roster, let's say, piece by piece, position by position, was to perform up to par, what are we looking at win wise? What are we looking at performance wise? Ranking within the Big Ten. I know it's way too early. Season just got done, but hey, that's why it's fun, and we can do what we do on here. But to start off with some type of encouragement, something with some substance, man. I just hope everyone out there is, first of all, living up to their standards, and I think we should constantly be evaluating our standards of life and how we live and what we think is good, and I think once you examine beliefs and, dig up old beliefs, and you can replace them and examine them, and you can understand maybe some of them were limiting and some of them were limiting and keeping you at a certain level. I think, there's something inside of all of us. I think it's the same thing that is always for expansion and fuller expression. It's always trying to expand and express itself in your life. But sometimes, and I'm victim to it. I think we are a victim to it, because I think the thing and the essence of ourselves is really like this unlimited, potential, this limitless substance. And I think the thing that causes it not to express itself fully is our limitations. So we went like 2 weeks ago, we were talking about know thyself on here. And it was a wonderful conversation, wonderful, just like kind of getting those thoughts out and like, okay, what does that mean? I think some of those are the limiting beliefs, because we're the instrument that this, power, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, expresses itself through. And if we're always limiting ourselves and not believing in ourselves, that power can't express itself. The moment we believe in ourselves and start examining, our behavior and start examining, the way we think about X, Y, and Z, and, this person and that person, the moment we fix those things, of course, examine and then fix, I feel as if, and, if you do a little bit of studying, you don't got to do too extensive studies, but if you do a little bit of studies, it will show that like your results have to change, because you're allowing this power to be directed to a certain place. It's not this thing where we're just like, throwing some up in the air and hoping, hoping we get it. No, we're directing this phenomenal creative, transcending power that flows to and through us. We're directing it to a certain place. And that's transformative once you understand that. And I think it's the understanding of that is transformative. But yeah, I mean, I truly believe that everyone has the same potential inside of us. If one person does something, I believe anyone can do anything. I believe the only limit there is the one we limit. I mean, the one we place on it is the only limit there is. And once we get to a place where in our mind and in our imagination, and I know it might be wonky to some people, but is like the freest place and there's no limitations there, I think then, we can finally get attached to what people call desires and, purpose and all those different things, because it's truly amazing. Sometimes we put ourselves in a prison and we don't even know we're in a prison. It's not crazy. They talk about Alcatraz, like some people are living in a prison daily. Then they have the key to the jail. They have the key to the cell. They just, are waiting for someone else to do it. But I'm here to tell you that you have the power, you have the key to just unlock it yourself. And it's through your thoughts, it's through your thought life. And that comes through, of course, examination and all that good stuff. But Bach, we got to get into some Nebraska football. We had a pretty good 3 weeks of transfers in. We've gone through this. I believe the latest one is Kilbrew out of U of A, and before that was Pritchett, the Alabama transfer at tackle. I don't know if I got your grade. I want to get your grade on the 16 transfers, I believe. We graded obviously Raiola's play. We've graded, the the receiver room. We graded all these guys. What is your grade for the guys coming in? And let's say to hit that 10 mark, right? To hit that 10 win mark. Right? I think that's of course you can go undefeated, but I think, a 10 win mark is a really, really good football team. I think that will get you obviously to where you want to get to. So where do you think this Nebraska football team lands adding in these transfers?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they've definitely helped themselves this offseason. That's hard to argue. I mean, their work in the transfer portal has been really good. But I do think that you lack the biggest strong suit, right? Like if we say what's the strength of the offense or what's the strength of the defense, there are certain teams you can say, well, this is it, and it's been this for years, and it's culturally kind of put in there, or this guy's especially fantastic, or it has been here for several years, and now we know we have that going into next year. Dylan Raiola is kind of the hope, and I get and certainly there's big hope in him moving forward and surrounding him with very good wide receivers. But I don't know if you're necessarily at a point like last year when they went into the spring game and Coach Rule said, yeah, we're going to work on passing the game. We know we have running the ball. That we don't have to worry about that. And then we saw throughout the season that was somewhat of a struggle at times. And I think that you'd probably say the same thing coming into this season as well on offense. And then defense, you just have so much, a lot of moving parts, some new starters coming in, old starters leaving, new defensive coordinator, kind of sticking with that 3-3-5. I like Nebraska. I like the way that it's going. But at the same time, I don't think they're a sure bet necessarily to take that next step.
Yeah, you didn't give me a grade though.
So grading the offseason transfer portal edition. Yeah. I mean, I think you'd probably go without expecting too much. I think you'd probably say a B plus.
B plus.
Yeah,
I like it. What's your favorite one so far?
I think Dane Key obviously is huge. Marquise Watson Trent seems like a pretty big deal. Position wise, Elijah Pritchett, you needed that. So I think that's probably just as far as covering yourself. I think that's their biggest addition. But there's a lot to pick through. Inter Marshall could break some games with his return ability. Deshaun McCullough gives you a lot of flexibility moving forward. If Williams Nwaneri turns out to be the what we thought he was coming out of high school, he certainly has a case. So they did a really good job of again getting a different blend of help now, help later, hope for later, I should say, and kind of filling out the team and the holes that they had. There are a few more spots. I think that's why I said B plus. I think there's a few more spots. I think you could probably use another offensive lineman. Another running back might be solid, but otherwise, a very good job this offseason.
Yeah, I'll go. I had some time to re-examine the list, right? And so I guess some people think I'm too critical in here sometimes, and some people think I'm right on par. But I would say B. I'm sitting around that 81, 82 range percent wise. I think the biggest jump we took was receiver. I think it's a different type of receiver than we had. And I've said it before, but it's the guys that get open. It's the guys that are consistently getting open. It's the guys that are polished route runners that don't just depend on the 50-50 ball, right? Because I think we got a lot of good, I don't know. Maybe we expected too much the way we start off the season. Because think about this. I mean, we start off the season, we're throwing jump balls to Banks, UTEP game, right? And he's coming down with it. Throwing jump balls to Isaiah Nair, he's coming down with it. Colorado game, not as much, right? And then, you and I a little bit. Illinois game, throwing jump balls. I mean, the city's on fire. Of course, they don't, win that one. But in the receiver game, we're winning these 50-50 ones. then all of a sudden Purdue comes and, they're holding and, all that good stuff. And then you saw a dramatic drop. You saw a crazy drop in receiver play. And, everyone, I saw it coming, but everyone was like, what's going on? The receivers aren't doing this, the coaching, this, and this. Well, you have to understand these guys aren't getting open press 1-to-1, man to man, like running crispy routes, breaking it off, coming flat, good angles, like this and this. I mean, they're winning 50-50 go balls, right? So as much as it really ended up being 80-20s, right? And then all of a sudden it started leveling out midway through the year, start going against a little better DBs, going against Indiana, going against Ohio State, even UCLA, they gave them some problems. Rutgers has some decent DBs. So, it started to catch up with us, and, go balls are pretty easy to defend at this level, right? I mean, you play a little bit more catch technique, play a little bit softer, mirror him, shadow him a little bit more over top, from a corner's perspective. Hey, and you can put a safety over top and force, guys to run routes, right? Play a little two-man. We saw that. But I think with, adding in Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter, like these are guys that run routes, right? So you're able to call a lot of different stuff. So it frees up Holgrenson, and also Raiola can put a little bit more trust in um, you know, a curl route getting open burst man, or a 10-yard out, or just being just simple things. It's not. It doesn't have to be this home run thing. I think that's what makes these offenses that are in college so good. Is that, I mean, they take, quarterbacks are comfortable taking 5-yard hitches, knowing that guys can get open, and we can run the ball, and, a 5-yard hitch can easily turn into a 15-yard gain, right? Because, you run such a crisp route, you come back to the football and make one guy miss, and, it could be off to the races, right? I think with these receivers, you're going to open that up. So I would say the receivers bump it up, but it's just so much, it's potential things like the Williams Nuri, like, or how do you say his name?
Waniri.
Waniri. With him, it's like potential. Like, what if, right? And I know some people from Missouri, and I talked to them just about like what's going on, and like, yeah, potential's there, right? Figure the rest of the stuff out. I mean, yeah, but the potential's there. That's what we're talking about. And like even like a Justin Rhett from Georgia, like that's a potential one. Like maybe haven't seen it yet, potential. And then I like Marquise Watson Trent. I think he's a good addition. I even like Jameer Khan. I like Elijah Pritchett. Elijah Pritchett, I could see his game, leveling up. Making sure his confidence is still there, right? Making sure he's approaching it the right way and all that good stuff. I mean, I think that would take care of itself. I would say the younger guys, right? And McCullough is another one too, where the potential's through the roof, right? Even if he comes in and does what he did at Oklahoma, I think that's a win. But if he really reaches potential, I mean, all these guys have, I just said it at the beginning of the show, everyone has unlimited potential. So, I mean, all these guys could pop off and go crazy. You mentioned Andrew Marshall, not only at punt returner, but at corner. I mean, these guys, everyone has potential to play great here, especially the resources at Nebraska. I mean, there's, especially if you're coming into this facility and coming into this, nutrition where they, I would say they use and they use the resources available to their maximum. And maybe we haven't seen that as much in Nebraska's history. And I think it allows the players to, elevate their recovery, elevate their nutrition. Of course, that comes in with recovery, elevate elevate their, just the way they approach the game. I mean, there's so many different things that players can take advantage of. So yeah, I would say probably a B, but there's still room for improvement. And I would say the point where I would get to a B plus is if we get an interior lineman or on both ends, O lineman, D lineman. D lineman for me a little bit more, right? Because O line, you kind of had some pieces fill in there. Guys there can still take a jump. I mean, Justin Evans can still take a jump. Henry Latovsky can take a jump. Those guys can take a jump. They already played, but the D lineman, Van Poppel is going to have to step up, but getting him another counterpiece to play off of, and to to free up some linebackers too. You got a really good linebacker core, and someone that helps out linebacker core is really good interior D lineman that can really clog up holes and free up backers to run.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think Nebraska's done in the transfer portal. We'll see in the next few days if they get any more additions. All right, let's take a quick break here. This is What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington on 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be back after this.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see mainly sunny skies with light winds, an afternoon high around 32. Tonight, a slight chance of snow showers, otherwise partly cloudy, the low around 9. And tomorrow, we'll see probably sunny skies with light winds, an afternoon high near 26. I'm meteorologist Kyle Becker for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
Garage doors can break down or quit working at the worst times. At Doors Plus, they understand that a broken garage sometimes means repair and not replace. Sometimes, all you need to make your door like new again is a few bolts, realignment, or even new balance. Trust the pros at Doors Plus to handle your garage door repair the right way so you can get on with your busy schedule. Visit them online at doorsplusllc.com or give them a call at 402-590-5800.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Automotive Solutions is Lincoln's one-stop shop for all your vehicle needs, from vinyl wraps to engine repair and maintenance. Automotive Solution offers fleet services as well as printing and graphic design for vinyl applications, plus installation of vinyl for boats, trucks, cars, and anything else you want wrapped. Perfection is their standard, and they never settle for less. Call today at 531-249-5600 or go to automotivesolutionslincoln.com to learn more. That's Automotive Solutions, 2040 Southwest 5th Street in Lincoln.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Husker fans, this season, Nebraska is celebrating 50 years of Husker women's basketball, and they need you to help celebrate. You've shown up for women's hoops from the start and continue to prove that Nebraska fans really are the best in the nation. On Sunday, January 26th, the Huskers face Big Ten opponent Ohio State, and they're calling on all Husker fans to help pack PBA so they can celebrate 50 years of Husker women's hoops together. Get your tickets now and be a part of this historic season. For event and ticket information, go to huskers.com/tickets.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
Be sure to check out the top-selling Recomp. Recomp helps build lean muscle and strength while decreasing body fat. Recomp is ideal for men and women of all ages trying to look their best. Recomp can only be found in Nutrition Authority. For info, visit mynutritionauthority.com.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just a professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
A new year means it's time to try new things. If you haven't tried Fierce Cheese Spread yet, the time is now. For the days you don't want to go to the gym, don't worry. Fierce Cheese Spread is there to cheer you up. And for the days you do get to the gym, why not celebrate when you get back with the best dip around? Get to your local grocery store today and load up on Fierce Cheese Spread. No event or party is complete without it on your table.
A team succeeds when they work together. Banking's no different. At UBT, we're in your corner for every financial move you want to make. Your money's backed by a roster of experts who put in the work to know you and your community. So whether you're opening a savings account, buying a home, or planning your future, you always know who to turn to. Working together toward your financial goals. That's a win in our playbook. Union Bank and Trust. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Back to What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Powered by the Teammates Mentoring Program.
We're back on What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington here on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Jake Bachman alongside your host of the show, Chancellor Brewington. Chancellor, what do we got brewing for segment number 2 today?
Yeah, so obviously a big game this past weekend. Ohio State beats Texas. Something we both predicted, and I expected it to be a good game. You know, obviously you can't predict, you know, how that ended, of course, and just I would just say that's a game that people are going to remember, and you know, I'm sure it'll be awesome. It was probably awesome for the Ohio State players to be a part of it. Jack Sawyer coming in at the end and stealing that game off. But yeah, I mean, what were your overall thoughts, Bach? And you know, I guess I'll start off with mine. It was interesting. You know, you see the rhythm of the game. Ohio State's really trying to establish the run game. They do so, and then you know, Will Howard throws that pick. I believe it's end of second or beginning of third, and you kind of give Texas some life. And you know, Texas was struggling first offensively, but you know, it got to a point at the end of the game where like, wow, this is gonna be a good one. And no, I thought the Quinn Ewers situation, you know, I thought he played decent. You know, it's pretty funny when you look at his stat line. When we were talking, when was it? Friday. When we were talking Friday, I was mentioning, I'm like, you know, I could probably expect, you know, a Quinn Ewers stat line. I said like 250 with a couple touchdowns and an interception. And this is what he threw for. He threw for 23 of 39, 283, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, QBR of 69. And, you know, Will Howard didn't do much better. I mean, he pretty much did the same, 24 for 33, 289 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, QBR of 90. But it's interesting, you know, like, obviously Quinn Ewers is, if I'm in Quinn Ewers' shoes, this is going to be tough because you have to make a decision within the week where you're going, if you're going to the draft or if you're not. Could assume that you're not going to the draft, so you have to obviously break off, not relationship with Texas, but announce that you're leaving Texas, and that was what I would assume he's going to do, of course, and then pick a new school all within a week. I mean, it's going to be a tough transition for him. I wouldn't say tough, but just like, you know, probably not something you want to do, but it's just necessary for you. What are your thoughts, obviously, you know, during the game, but also now that you know what's going to happen? What are your thoughts right now, Bach?
Yeah, it was just an absolute, I mean, one of the best college football moments you could really script or any into the game. Obviously, if you knew the history between Jack Sawyer and Quinn Ewers, as Quinn Ewers was his roommate back when he was at Ohio State.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, they were kind of going at it, and when I say go at it, like as friends,
yeah.
You know, pregame and throughout the game, and then to get the strip sack and it bounced right back into his hands for the touchdown that ultimately pretty much sealed the game. Texas wasn't going to come back at that point, but they were driving on that drive to score, and hopefully for them to continue that game, and try to close it out. And so it was just an amazing moment in college football. One of the best moments that's going to go down in Ohio State history. And good because right, the rest of the playoffs haven't necessarily given us that moment, but it's incredible. You know, with the Final Four all together, you've had like 4 blue bloods fighting it out, and now you've got 2 of them in the final. It's exciting. It's an exciting tournament. It's an exciting playoff. And certainly with this game, I can't help but kind of think what you're kind of thinking. Was that the last we'll see of Quinn Ewers?
Right.
And is it okay, because they are roommates? Some people I know didn't like that he was kind of talking to him and was kind of smiling as he was going off the field. It's Quinn Ewers. I don't care if that's your roommate or not. That's got to be a tough moment. But for quarterbacks to be able to bounce back that quickly, for any player to be able to bounce back that quickly, yes, some fans might want to see him crying or whatever it might be.
How soon was it? I didn't see it.
It was just that was toward the end of the game, and there was maybe 2 minutes a game,
Okay.
6-7 minutes in real time action. And it wasn't, he after the post game interview, Jack Sawyer said that he just kind of had some words for him, but was friendly about it, and so there was tape on that, and he was kind of smiling, but that seems like kind of silly to me, especially for a guy that, like you said, might be getting forced out of a team that he led to the college football semifinal.
Yeah, that is a good point. I mean, I wonder how direct it is, the conversation is, because obviously Quinn Ewers for the last, really ever since he stepped on the scene there, from Ohio State, he was the guy who's going to lead us to the championship. He's the guy that's going to lead us to, of course, back then it was the Big 12, but now it's the top of the SEC, and this and this, and it just didn't end up. It didn't transpire the way, of course, probably he wanted to, but at the end of the day, he did have an opportunity, and I think the fans and everyone in the program should be grateful, because he battled back from some injury midway through, got himself together, and had a good run, of course. You going, who was it, ASU? You beat ASU in a tight one, and you do that. But I don't know. I think this Quinn Ewers situation is interesting, and I think this is the new day of college football where I don't want to say this for Quinn Ewers situation specifically, but there can't be as much emotional involvement with the team anymore. It just can't happen. It's not. I love listening to some of the earlier shows on here. You do the captain with Farley and Vershawn Jackson, and there's Amon Green on here, and Aaron Davis, and all these former players who had they still have this love for Nebraska, and it's evident, right? Nowadays, there's not, just because of up and go and this and this, and you never know what a coach is going to do and how much a person is going to pay here, and there's so many different variables now. You can't just I'm not going to say you can't, but it's less likely that players are just going to fall in love with the organization because it's an organization, because it's Nebraska, or because it's SC, or because it's Texas, or whatever. And so for people maybe in that old mindset of the way college football used to be, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, the way it used to be, sometimes you can look at it and be like, this guy's not invested, this guy's not whatever. But if you really knew behind closed doors what he's dealing with, imagine going into this game with Quinn Ewers. You're Quinn Ewers. Regardless, probably, that you're not going to the league and that you're leaving after this game or the next one, right? Imagine how emotionally invested. You cannot tell me you are fully emotionally invested in this game. And I'm not picking on Quinn Ewers. I'm just using him as a test subject right now. But you can't tell me. And so moving forward in college football, people are going to have issues with the way people handle interviews and this and on-field stuff. And, we saw earlier, maybe it was Tech, or I think it was, I forget who it was, Georgia. There were some players celebrating on the field with Georgia. And I'm not saying that specific thing, but there's going to be the way players handle certain situations. People aren't going to agree with it because it's a new day and age. Everyone's going to have to adjust to it. And I'm not saying Quinn Ewers laughed because he's going to a new school and this, and this, but I will say that moving forward, I would say the emotional involvement to the team, to the logo, it's not going to be there as much. And that's just my theory, hypothesis, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And again, it might not be the way that people necessarily wanted it to be. But it is, when you turn college football more and more into the pros and more into a business, and now you include the players on the business side of it, then it's going to be treated more like
Yeah.
a business. Now, Jack Sawyer on the opposite end of that, it was also a special moment because he was an Ohio kid that bled Ohio State, read his whole life or whatever. That at least is the story that we're telling. So you're still going to have certain situations where that's the case, but it's still like it baffled my mind that you could, and I don't want to say baffled, but it's just like it's hard to place the level of dedication. And I'm not questioning the dedication level because to go out to play a college football game can be very tough. But it was just, it's kind of an eye opener, right? When you finished your regular season, like Nebraska did against Iowa, and then 5 days later, there's like 10 to 15 guys in the portal, and you're thinking, I just don't know if they were like in less than 5 days, 5 days ago, if they were all in at Nebraska. I think it's harder to expect people to be all in, if you will.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it, expecting people to be all in, because at the end of the day, like you can go in the portal, right, and still love the program, right, and still want to be there, but you still have to make a decision for yourself. And I think if people are being I'm being careful on the way I use the word selfish, not the way the world sees selfish. I would say selfish in doing what's best for me. And I'm not saying and not thinking about others. That's what people interject in the word selfish. I think it's just being true to yourself and understanding, okay, what's going to be best for me, right? And in a lot of these situations, since it's not like the NFL, although the model is becoming more like it, there's a limited time. So guys have to at some point, I would say, be loyal to themselves, but also respect the program, right? And respect and obviously, and this is what I'll say, and I'll continue to say it, and I have no apologies for this statement, but the player who ups and leaves this place and ups and leaves this place and ups and leaves this place to go to another place, that expects for the result to change is not the smartest individual, right? Because I think everyone can acknowledge, not only in sports but in life, that the individual has to change, because you can go from job to job to job or team to team to team, and you stay the same person, you're going to get the same results. But the individual who says, okay, what worked here, what didn't, the reason why it didn't work here was because of my lack of something, my lack of commitment, my lack of dedication, my lack of or my vast tardiness, in meetings and in whatever it is, right? If you don't change those things, the results are not going to change. So it's just like kind of two-edged sword of, yeah, you want to be selfish and of course be loyal to yourself, and you want to play football, in the 4 years, but also like you also got to be, I would say, realistic in the sense of, man, if you didn't change, nothing's going to change for you. And that's a harsh reality for young men. And I'll tell you what, paid young men, people are getting money. So you ask a guy who's making 100,000, that's on the low end of college football now, say, hey, the results you're getting here, you're going to get them everywhere if you don't change. Now that's an ego that hits your ego right in the core of it, right? And you're probably not going to want to change, right? I'm making 100,000 at my next place, I'm getting a light deduction, I'm making 75, whatever, and then you go to transfer again, now you're making 50, and then last place you're making 25. It's because you didn't change. It's the results in the pudding. Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Changing world in college football. You got to change with it. We will continue this conversation, talk a little bit more on what's brewing with Chancellor Brewington coming up next.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
A team succeeds when they work together. Banking's no different. At UBT, we're in your corner for every financial move you want to make. Your money's backed by a roster of experts who put in the work to know you and your community. So whether you're opening a savings account, buying a home, or planning your future, you always know who to turn to. Working together toward your financial goals. That's a win in our playbook. Union Bank and Trust. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Wrestling fans, it's time to elevate your game, just like Stevens & Smith Construction does for your concrete needs. As your full-service concrete contractor, we deliver solid results every time. From singles to doubles, fighting for inside position to scrambling reversals, we know how to pin down quality and slam expectations. Stevens & Smith Construction, a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket, where Husker wrestlers bring you all the action. Don't stall. Stevens & Smith Construction is here to help you build a concrete foundation for the win. Check us out at www.stevensandsmith.com because stalling is a penalty and winning is the only option.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
A new year means it's time to try new things. If you haven't tried Fear's cheese spread yet, the time is now. For the days you don't want to go to the gym, don't worry. Fear's cheese spread is there to cheer you up. And for the days you do get to the gym, why not celebrate when you get back with the best dip around? Get to your local grocery store today and load up on Fear's cheese spread. No event or party is complete without it on your table.
Make the 2025 deer season your best yet. Come to the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo Friday, January 17th through Sunday, January 19th. Check out the hunting seminars, browse the hunting and outdoor exhibits, sign up for the 360 blind giveaway, compete in the Big Buck and Monster Shed contest, try the 3D shoot and more. Get tickets at the door. The Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 17th through the 19th at the Sandhills Global Event Center. 84th and Havelock in Lincoln, presented by Whitetail Properties Real Estate.
Be sure to check out the top-selling Recomp. Recomp helps build lean muscle and strength while decreasing body fat. Recomp is ideal for men and women of all ages trying to look their best. Recomp can only be found in Nutrition Authority. For info, visit mynutritionauthority.com.
Husker fans, this season, Nebraska is celebrating 50 years of Husker women's basketball, and they need you to help celebrate. You've shown up for women's hoops from the start and continue to prove that Nebraska fans really are the best in the nation. On Sunday, January 26th, the Huskers face Big Ten opponent Ohio State, and they're calling on all Husker fans to help pack PVA so they can celebrate 50 years of Husker women's hoops together. Get your tickets now and be a part of this historic season. For event and ticket information, go to huskers.com/tickets.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Automotive Solutions is Lincoln's one-stop shop for all your vehicle needs, from vinyl wraps to engine repair and maintenance. Automotive Solution offers fleet services as well as printing and graphic design for vinyl applications, plus installation of vinyl for boats, trucks, cars, and anything else you want wrapped. Perfection is their standard, and they never settle for less. Call today at 531-249-5600 or go to automotivesolutionslincoln.com to learn more. That's Automotive Solutions, 2040 Southwest 5th Street in Lincoln.
Outside is where winter adventure unfolds. On frozen lakes, icy landscapes, and snow-covered slopes, feeling the cold air rush by as you race downhill. The freedom of gliding with ease and the warmth of being together. From epic sled rides to the fun of ice fishing, it's all right here beneath Nebraska skies. Start your winter adventure at yournebraskaparks.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Associations and this station.
The dangers of secondhand smoke are well known. But what about secondhand aerosol, which is created when using e-cigarettes? Science already shows a secondhand aerosol can contain nicotine, heavy metals, and cancer-causing agents. Eliminating exposure to secondhand aerosol is an important step to keeping everyone safe. Breathe easier knowing the facts.
For help quitting, call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Back to What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Powered by the Teammates Mentoring Program.
We are back on What's Brewington here on 93.7 The Ticket at our studios at 1040 O Street. I'm Jake Bachman alongside Chancellor Brewington. We got time for one final segment. Chancellor, what is brewing for segment number 3 here?
Yeah, so we talked about, I believe on Friday and Thursday, and we talked about it earlier today, is possibly getting another O-lineman. And Shazia Pete, if I'm saying that correct, I swear, I feel like I messed up everyone's name. Shazia Pete, am I saying it right?
You could be. I mean, I read it as Shy as Pete, but I'm not sure either.
Shy as Pete. What am I thinking? Shy as Pete. It looks like Nebraska and Michigan are the front runners right now. And this obviously, speculation, of course. But if we can get him, now we're talking. And I think the question if I'm him, it's obviously, where can I play and who's going to give me the best opportunity to get to the league? And first of all, who do I want to play for? And I think playing for Raiola, if you're a lineman, is attractive. And I mean that in like a football term sense. It's attractive. It's, it's a guy who sits in the pocket. It's not a guy where I got to do a whole bunch of, quarterback run stuff and do all this stuff that, not a lot of linemen want to do. And sometimes some linemen really love run. They love to run, love firing off the ball. But if you're a tackle, you make your money at the next level in pass pro, right? And so I think if you're Shaiza, what was it, Bach?
Shaiz Pete, I believe.
Jeez, I need someone to pronunciate for me. But if you're him, I think coming to Nebraska gives him a good shot at the league. I'm not going to say the best shot. I will say that scouts will be on Raiola very heavy in the second year. So I think everyone's getting exposure. Linebackers from Javen Wright to Marquise Watson Trent. Those type of guys are going to get exposure from Raiola, right? So yeah, if you're coming to Nebraska, you're going to get NFL exposure. You're going to have all 32 teams at some point in the year come by and watch your practices, especially spring ball too. So, NFL exposure, I feel like a little bit more, of course, if you're on a winning team. But now you look at Michigan and where they're at, you're like, okay, they won 7 or 8 games this year. Same around Nebraska. So it's not the Michigan where you're committing to, all five linemen go first round, of 5 years ago. And you got, 3 first rounders and JJ McCarthy and, all these different guys. Right. So it's a whole different ball game. If we can get this New Mexico tackle, right. And maybe it's a thing where we sell him and just say, like, you're our guy. Like, if there's a person we're going to feature on the O-line, it's you. Like, instead of, Michigan, I don't know what their pitch is. Maybe it's what else, Strick? Maybe it's more of a, we'll come in and you'll play a good role on this team. If you sell them, and really this is a true sale. You're not lying to them. You say, I know we got Pritchett, but you're our guy. Like, you are who we want, and this. And, you want to play left tackle is yours. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I think this is a good get for Nebraska.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this would make a huge difference as to how we grade this offseason. We kind of mentioned earlier, that's still something that's kind of floating out there, as if Nebraska could land him, Shaiz Pete in specific, and then maybe you do move Pritchett over to right tackle. And so you kind of solve your tackle problem through the portal. And again, this is a tackle problem that Nebraska's had for years. Turner Corcoran and Ben Hart have been both good tackles. I'm not saying that they haven't, been good power 4 tackles. It's just they don't seem to have the most competition to kind of take their spots. And for Corcoran specifically, felt like maybe he could benefit from moving to guard at some point, but there never was anybody to kind of take that tackle reign from him. And of course, this year, a lot of people might put it in the back burner because every football team has injuries preseason, but Nebraska arguably lost, their tackle entering the season. And so maybe that made quite a big difference in how this all played out. But yeah, the offensive line, that's the one thing I think that would really shore it up right there. And especially with, we're talking tackles, because if you're going to be passing the ball, and you mentioned Dylan doesn't have a whole lot of escapability to him, they need to protect that pocket. And in one way or the other, regardless how your team is built, regardless of what conference you play in, but particularly in the Big Ten, you got to win up front.
Yeah.
And that's the one question I do have about Nebraska. There's a lot of nice flashy pieces. There's the momentum in winning this season, but losing Nash and Ty, are you going to keep that rushing defense? And then on the opposite side of it, you lose a few pieces on that offensive line that, while not great, it was probably one of the best lines they've had in years.
Yeah, you can say that's not saying much, but I think it is. I mean, to be on the uptrend year to year on the O-line play is, you can't really, that's invaluable. You can't really fully measure that. That's giving confidence to Raiola and, the play caller and being able to call some stuff. I remember a few years back, it was sometimes a miracle on the first drive that we didn't false start or that there wasn't a bad snap, right? So the fact that we're not really talking about those things, and now we're talking about X's and O's. Like, now we're talking about, the sets of O linemen, and, maybe now we can run power, and now we can run this, and now we can just line up in inside zone and run the football downhill. And, the whole world knows we're running, the 22 power, right? And in heavy personnel in short goal line. We've shown it every time, and we're executing at like a 97% rate, right? Like 3 years ago, you would have laughed at that, right? So there's improvement. I think you have to acknowledge that. And even if we stay with the same O-line and you keep Batula and you put Pritchett at right tackle, we could figure it out. We can still figure it out. I think this is we talk about the Indianas, how Indiana got successful, how all these schools, SMU, how these schools, took that jump in the offseason. One of them is that, you don't just get one guy at one position. Like, you load the roster up with as many guys who can come in and produce as possible.
Well, let me ask you this, because we went through this, the transfer portal class. And typically when you're doing a high school class too, I always kind of think, okay, yeah, we're excited about these guys, but you're going to have, if you're doing well, a 50% hit rate. There's going to be guys that transfer. There's going to be guys that, just don't end up, translating to college football as well as you think they did. Could you live with a 50% hit rate in the transfer portal this year, or does it needs to be significantly higher?
No, it needs to be at least 70. But this is tough though, because the freshmen you bringing in, you're not really expecting them to contribute. Kentucky receiver, maybe a couple of those, but the guys that you are expecting to come in, the receivers, a couple of D linemen, the cornerbacks, a couple linebackers, those guys you expect to come in, gotta contribute. I would say it has to be around 75, 80. That's tough, but hey, that's why you get paid the big bucks.
Yeah, that, and hopefully it should translate, because we've already seen many of them play at this level. All right, that'll wrap it up for What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewing today. We'll be back throughout the week, but On the Block has their turn up next year on 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
If you're sick of catering from the same places every month, it's time to switch things up. Mulberry Barbecue is perfect for business lunches and dinners, family gatherings, holiday parties, wedding receptions, rehearsal dinners, and so much more. Delivery and full service options are available, and they can cater for anything from